What's up, guys? This is Ron K. Armstrong, filmmaker extraordinaire, with a new video for you. And in this video, I've got some juicy information on why George Lucas gets 25% from Disney. But before I go into that, I want you to hit the like button in this video. Hit the like button. And if this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live or when I upload recorded videos. Now, information has just gotten out. We can't confirm this, but it makes a lot of sense, and it explains why Disney has made the decisions that they have made up until this point. What am I talking about? Decisions such as to kill off Han Solo, to kill off Luke Skywalker. Disneyland's Galaxy's Edge has no representation of the original Star Wars characters like Darth Vader, Darth Maul, Luke Skywalker, R2-D2. Those characters are absent, MIA. Why? Why would Disney open up Galaxy's Edge or do these new films, the new trilogy, Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker, when not including the original characters? Why would they do this? Because those are recognizable characters. They are proven to draw audiences. Well, a memo was circulated, this can't be confirmed, which states that George Lucas, when he sold Star Wars to Disney for what, $4 billion, he retained 25% of the Star Wars characters' rights. What does that mean exactly? If Disney has those characters, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Darth Vader, in their new films as the original characters from A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and The Return of the Jedi, then Lucas will get 25% of that box office or royalties. However, if Disney alters the characters by 25%, then Lucas doesn't get anything from that. In other words, if you see C-3PO in the new trilogy, he has a red arm. That's a 25% change, so that means George Lucas doesn't get anything from that. The Millennium Falcon, instead of having a circular dish, has a square dish, so that's changed by 25%, so Lucasfilm or George Lucas doesn't get anything from that. But the appearance of Luke Skywalker, Lucas will get 25% of that, which is why we see Disney killing off Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, so they can promote the new characters such as Poe, Rey, Finn. But the problem that Disney has is that no one likes those new characters, and that the original characters from the original trilogies are recognizable and they hit home with the audience. It also makes total sense in why, when you look at Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland, why you don't see any of the original characters there. Many people have been complaining that when they go there, it's very generic. In fact, you wouldn't even know it's Star Wars if the Millennium Falcon wasn't parked there, because you don't see Darth Vader. You don't see R2-D2 like rolling around there. You don't see C-3PO walking around, because Disney doesn't want to pay Lucas 25%. So Disney doesn't want to have any representation of those characters at Galaxy's Edge, which shortchanges the audience, shortchanges the fans, because we love those characters and we want to see them. Now, you got to give it to George Lucas. Not only did he sell the rights to Disney for $4 billion, but he also said for merchandising and the rights to the characters, he says, I want to retain 25%. If you put those characters in your movie as they originally are, I want a piece of that action. Smart move on Lucas's part. But bad move on Disney to be so cheap as to not give George 25% and instead cut those characters out or try to kill them off quickly to introduce these new characters, which are horribly written. Horribly written. And there was an article that was released, and I should have brought that with me to show you guys, where it talks about Star Wars is having trouble connecting with the younger generation. That's because the characters, the new characters, people don't like Rey. She's a Mary Sue. She's perfect. She has no character flaws. No one can identify with her. She hasn't gone through any Jedi training. But anyway, I digress. But the point is, these new characters have nothing in those that we can identify with. And the older characters, Skywalker, Darth Vader, are iconic. And if you go back and you watch the documentary on Star Wars, I think it was back in 1979, one of the things that George Lucas retained was the rights to merchandising. And he was smart for at that period of time. It was kind of like the studio was like, yeah, you can take the merchandising rights. We don't care about them. And not only did the film blow up, but the toys blew up and made George Lucas a boatload of money. So this round with Disney, he was smart in retaining 25% of the likenesses of the characters. So that's what we heard in terms of the rumor that's going on out there as to why Disney has made the decisions to kill off all of the original trilogy characters and not introduce them into Galaxy's Edge. So makes perfect sense. It's logical. And again, it's smart business practice by George Lucas. And it's just cheap of Disney to do that. And I'm afraid that, people right now, in terms of the new movie, The Rise of Skywalker, it's just problematic. There's no expectation for this film. Rian Johnson didn't leave The Last Jedi off in any way to build up anticipation for the next film. So people aren't really hyped about this new one coming out. And from what I hear, it's a mess. They're coming up with all kinds of retcons, different story ideas and arcs. I mean, when you start bringing in Palpatine, the Emperor, who died in the Return of the Jedi, then what you're doing is you're relying on nostalgia. You're trying to win the audience over. I mean, look at the trailer to the Rise of Skywalker. It looks like it takes place on Tatooine or Jakku or wherever. It's like they can't get away from the desert planet. They can't get away from the Death Star because, again, they're relying on nostalgia to get you into the theater. Same thing with the Emperor. Instead of relying on the expanded universe, which has a wealth of material that they can call forth from to put into the film, they're just throwing at you rehashed stuff that you've seen before. That's why when the trailer for The Rise of Skywalker came out, no one was really excited. We've seen this before. And here you have Rey doing flips with lightsabers with no Jedi training. So it's just like Disney doesn't get it. You can't have a character like Rey doing all of these magical feats when she received no training. And she can best Kylo Ren in the lightsaber fight. She can best Luke Skywalker. What's the point then? What is the point of the character? What, we're going to see her fight Kylo Ren again? We have already seen that in The Last Jedi. We know how that went. We know Rey is going to beat Kylo. There's nothing they can introduce in this new film that's going to shock and awe us. So they painted themselves into a corner. Disney has made some bad business decisions by hiring Rian Johnson, keeping Kathleen Kennedy as the head. She has no affinity to Star Wars. She doesn't understand it. And she has demonstrated time and time again to hire the wrong directors, the wrong people. I don't understand how could she have allowed The Last Jedi to be released. During the private screening that she had of that film, she should have immediately identified the problems with that movie and fired Rian Johnson immediately and did reshoots. But she allowed that film to be released. And it was horrible. Yes, it made $1 billion, but it was a horrible film. And now people, several months or years later, are realizing that the film is not good. And as a result of that film, Solo a Star Wars story, whatever they call it, failed big time at the box office. Of course, Kathleen Kennedy and Disney want to attribute it to Star Wars fatigue, but that's not the truth. The truth is the Star Wars as a brand has been seriously damaged. And this is caused by a lack of leadership by Kathleen Kennedy. If she had looked at what the MCU did in terms of the Avengers, in creating the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and how they had Infinity War and they had Endgame, that their stories were mapped out. They had a place to go. They knew the direction that they were going in. They connected the dots. Whereas from The Force Awakens to The Rise of Skywalker, there has been no consistent theme. They have not thought through where they're going with all of these story arcs or whatever. The characters have not been fully fleshed out and developed. There's no redeeming qualities of these characters. We don't like them. And because of such, the brand is on life support. I'm rambling now. That's all I have to say. But I have no intention of going to see The Rise of Skywalker in the theaters. I was burned with The Last Jedi. It was so bad. I was burned. I was burned by The Force Awakens because I did not appreciate the homage to the original film, A New Hope. I didn't like the fact they were playing on nostalgia. But so anyway, that is the word on the street about Lucas getting 25% if Disney uses his characters, which is why Disney is not injecting George Lucas's original characters into their stories, their movies, and into Galaxy's Edge. This is why you see them being killed off in the most disrespectful ways, because Disney's cheap. Sorry to say it. But I'll continue to follow these stories and bring you the latest and greatest information. So until my next video, maintain the rights to your intellectual property. This is Ron K. Armstrong, filmmaker extraordinaire. Bye.